Hi there, this is video 10 and it covers pages 14 through to 16 in your notes. When you're working with large lists, it's really important to know how to filter that list. Often we only want to see a subset or a small group of the larger list, and that's where filtering comes into play. Now, in order to do filtering, you need to have a list where every column has a column heading, and we have that here. I can even make them bold so we can see them more clearly. But we have got every column with a column heading. You can have blank cells where maybe you don't have a value for that person, and you can have blank rows, but it's not ideal. Try to avoid putting blank rows in your list because it may think in some certain contexts that the list ended there. So try to avoid that. Now, if you want to filter, there's a couple of places you can go. On the Home tab, and I'm sitting in my list, particularly A1, on the Home tab, you can go for the Sort and Filter option here, and you can filter using this button. Or some people go to Data up here in the ribbon, and they'll use this filter button. Some people will even right-click and add it to the Quick Access Toolbar, so it's sitting up here and they can use it up here. Me, as you probably gathered, I'm right into keys. So when I rest on the filter button, I can see that Control-Shift-L is used to turn on and turn off the filter. So I'm going to go back to my Home tab and I'm going to press Control-Shift-L. And I remember L because it's a list. When I press Control-Shift-L again, the filter turns off, and when I press it again, the filter turns on. Now, how I know the filter's on is it's indicative by these little drop downs. If you ever see these drop downs in a spreadsheet, somebody has turned the filter on. Now let's say, for example, that I wanted to filter out all the females. I would hit the drop down on gender, I would take off select all, and I would just choose female because that's what I want to see. Tick what you want to see. When I go OK, my row numbering goes blue and certain rows are missing, row 15 and rows 22 and 23, so obviously they're considered males. Down here in the lower left of my status bar, it says 109 out of 200 records were found. So 109 of my records are female. Also, when I look at this drop down, I can see there's a little funnel, and when I rest on it, it says the criteria, that is the filter, is emanating from F, and it says equals female. If I want to clear my filter, I could go to the Sort and Filter button here and choose the clear option. I could go to Data and choose the clear option. I could even right click it and add it to my Quick Access Toolbar so it's sitting up here. Or I could just press the key combination Control-Shift-L to turn off and turn on the filter. So you can easily clear a filter. Now, something that we often do is we want to extract records that match a certain filter and put them in a separate sheet. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to start by inserting a sheet just by hitting this circle and this plus. I then want to double click and name this sheet 50 this year. So these are my employees who are 50 this year. I'm then going to go to Master Data and make sure my filter's turned on, and it is. And then I'll go to Age and I'll go Unselect All, and I'll simply choose 50. Or I could search in here for 50 and OK. So here are my 6 staff members who are 50. Now I want to copy those and paste them into 50 this year. And what some of you may have experienced is when you copy and paste, it actually copies the hidden rows and pastes the hidden rows. It doesn't always do it, but if it does happen to you, this is how you get around it. Click in the list somewhere and go Control A. Then go Control G for Go To. Or you could go to the Find and Select and choose Go To there or Go To Special. But I'm just going to go Control G. When I do, I then get the special button. So I'm going to go to there. And what I can do in here is say that I want to go to the visible cells only. And when I click OK, it has selected the visible cells in that area only. So then when I go Control C, it will have only copied the visible cells. Then if I go to 50 this year and I go to A1 and I press enter, it will only paste those records that are visible. If I click above row 1 to select the entire sheet and then double click the line between any two column letters, it will auto fit all the columns in the sheet. And then I can proceed to just click back on A1. So if you find when you do a filter and you copy and paste, it pastes the entire data set, even the hidden rows, use Control G and Special to select just the visible cells and then proceed to copy and paste. I'd like to go back to my master data and I'm going to clear my filter. So I'll just go Control Shift L to clear it and turn off the filter, and then I'll turn it back on again. So when we know exactly what we want, we just tick what we want and clear what we don't want, or we can use the search button as we did. The other thing you can do when a column contains text, such as column T does, you can actually employ some of these text filters. So I just want you to know you don't have to tick and untick. You can actually say, give me all the ones that equal, give me all the ones that do not equal, give me all the ones that begin with or end with or contain or do not contain. So sometimes, for example, if I'm working through a list alphabetically, I'll be saying, give me all the ones that begin with A. Then I'll work with all the ones that begin with B. Then I'll work with ones that all begin with C. And I don't really want to have to go through ticking and unticking every one that begins with C. So there are some really useful text filters. Now practice what you've learnt, absorb what we've covered, and I'll see you in the next video.